It is powering Team USA. I'm here at the P&G home, and we actually just had an exclusive walkthrough. This 65,000 square foot home away from home for the Olympic athletes and their families. It's amazing. You can do your laundry here, you can get beauty treatments here, and you also can experience the Duracell Virtual Stadium, which is right behind me, where people at home can cheer on Team USA, and I'm sure you at the Postgame know how important home court advantage is. And although everyone here does speak English, we are not on home soil, so this is really P&G and Duracell's way to create the home court advantage for Team USA. All you have to do is go on facebook.com/Duracell and click on the virtual stadium, put in your text, your picture, your video, be creative, cheer on your favorite athlete or Team USA as a whole. And it's really, really fun to watch because it does make a huge difference. A lot of athletes will be flying through here. We had some moms here earlier today. Ryan Lochte mom, Jordan Weber's mom, Sarah Robles' mom. So they had a chance to actually see some of the messages for their kids, and it was really fun to watch the expressions on their face. But it's like Minority Report style. You just wave your hands, so it's the Kinect technology that allows you to go through it. I have a feeling that a lot of the athletes are going to want to come here and see it, and we've already seen sort of some of that action today. In 1992, it was back in the day when we didn't have email. We barely had cell phones. We certainly didn't have that kind of communication, and I also wasn't really aware that so many people were watching back home. You sort of forgot that it was airing live back in America and millions of people were cheering you on because you just didn't hear that. So there was one instance, in fact, when it was towards the end of my competition, and I got a telegram from a woman from Texas that felt so a part of my journey and emotionally attached that she felt she needed to tell me that she believed in me and she was wishing me good luck and she knew that I could do it. And my last race ended up being my gold medal race. I'll never forget feeling that from a total stranger, that she felt such the need to send me that message, and it did make a huge, huge difference. So if we had this back in 1992, I would have been soaking up every second of my positive, all the positive vibes coming from my home country. That would have made a really big difference to me. It would have put a huge smile on my face. The very first day, the 400 IM, Ryan Lochte, Michael Phelps, neither of those fellas are going to be walking in the opening ceremonies, not because they don't want to see it, it's because they need to save their legs for what is the toughest race in swimming, the 400 IM. I say that because I did it. But it's the very first day of competition, and it'll be the first individual gold medal for the men. So it's going to be a great show. It's literally going to come down to two Americans, and they're going to go back and forth and battle and battle. And these two guys love to race. So even if they are tired like no other tired, they're going to dig down deep and fight to get to the wall to be the first person to win the gold medal in 2012 for swimming. Well, it's interesting. I was talking to Ryan Lochte's mom, Ike, and she said it's such a healthy rivalry. And I really do believe it is. I feel like they know each other so well, and they can either push each other to greatness, or as they said a few times at Olympic trials, it becomes this cat and mouse game where no one wants to take it out too fast, so they end up with a fairly slow time. They're so good, and they're so far ahead of everyone else that it does just come down to them. And I think that it's great for the sport. I love the fact that Ryan Lochte is on the cover of so many magazines, and Phelps is on the cover of so many magazines. People know these guys' names. I feel really honored and proud of my sport and how far we've come. I first interviewed Phelps in 2000 when he was 15 years old, and he took home the bronze in the 200 butterfly. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, a 15-year-old guy made the podium. It just seemed like guys matured later and they were older when they were peaking. So I was even shocked by that. But I think it says a lot about our sport. I think it says that, number one, the sponsorship of people like of companies like P&G and other Olympic sponsors have allowed these athletes to make a living in doing what they love to do and to really reach their potential. And sometimes that potential is at 19, and sometimes that potential is at 29. You just never know. But what it's great is we've been allowed to get to know these athletes and know their names, and they've stuck around. And I think that's really what helps our sport, when people have somebody to cheer for and you recognize. I was a huge Jordan fan. You have to understand, I would write number 23 on my swim cap. I had my Air Jordans that I would parade out in for every swim meet. I wore my Air Jordans to my high school graduation. I would travel with Michael Jordan posters and put them up in my hotel room with toothpaste. So when I found out that Michael Jordan was going to be a part of the '92 Olympic team, I became even more excited about pushing myself to qualify and be his teammate. So I actually said to NBC, I thought I was being really clever and said, they asked if I would do an interview at the end of the swimming competition, and I said, oh yeah, I'll do that. Can I get 4 tickets to the finals of men's basketball? And little did I know, they probably had hundreds of tickets, you know, in their office in the back. But they said, okay, we'll see what we can do. And so I got them, and I went, and it was magical. It was awesome. And who knew, you know, 4 years later, I was working for the NBA, hosting Inside Stuff and living the dream of, you know, loving basketball and being around it. I didn't at the '92 games, but I'd met him right before the games. I came home from college to Sacramento, and I was a huge Kings fan. So around Thanksgiving time, the Bulls were playing the Kings, and the Kings got word that I was there, so they brought me down, and I got to meet him before the games. And then of course I got to know him when I worked for the NBA. And, you know, Maude was my co-host, and they were very good friends. So I got to know Michael a little bit through the NBA. You know, first of all, I found out through Twitter that it was coming back. And I'm thrilled. I love the fact that a new generation gets a chance to see a show that I loved so much. It was my favorite show I hosted. I loved the slime. I love that the slime is back, and I can tell everybody that it's made of vanilla pudding and green food coloring. Well, it was back in the day. But I still am partial to my generation, and Danny Tamborelli and Lori Beth and Billy the Answerhead. And it's great, though. My kids get a chance to watch it, and they'll look at me and go, Mommy, wasn't this the show that you hosted? So it puts a smile on my face.